This is the story of a man who survived an intense battle for life and death in the world's largest and most merciless ocean, the Pacific, for over 400 days. Not only did he set a world record, but after 14 months, he made it back alive. However, upon his return, something unexpected happened, leading him to end up in jail. Discover the full story in this video. The very mention of the Pacific Ocean can send shivers down people's spines. Globally, 71% of Earth's surface is covered by water, divided among four major oceans: the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Arctic. The Pacific is the largest, covering an area so vast it could nearly eclipse land masses, totaling about 165 million square kilometers on its own, occupying 148 million square kilometers. This ocean has only a few small islands, some of which remain untouched by human presence to this day. If anyone were to accidentally get lost in the Pacific, finding them would be nearly impossible. One such man, who miraculously survived 14 months adrift in the Pacific, was named José Salvador Alvarenga. He had only a small 7-foot boat that wasn't large enough to even lie down in. Yet he managed to survive on this tiny vessel, enduring the harshness of the sea, and in the process, set a world record no one has broken to this day. José's misfortune began simply by chance. It was the year 2012, and José, a 36-year-old experienced fisherman, lived in the village of Costa Azul in Mexico. On November 17, 2012, he and a companion set out to fish, as they did daily on their small 7-foot boat. Due to its size, the boat could not venture far out to sea and was equipped with only one engine and a small refrigerator, allowing them to catch only a limited number of fish. Planning to return within 30 hours, the pair set off, drifting about 120 kilometers from the coast of Mexico, casting their nets into the water. But suddenly, a storm was heading straight toward them. In a hurry, they left their fishing nets behind and pushed the boat to full speed. For 6 continuous hours, they raced toward the shore, coming within just 20 kilometers of it when suddenly their boat's engine failed. They could see the shore, even their village, and the storm seemed to have receded behind them. Using a radio, they quickly transmitted their location to their boss and waited for a response. But bad luck struck again as the radio's battery died. On one side, they could see the shore, and on the other, the storm coming toward them with such ferocity, it seemed as if it would consume them. The winds with the storm were so strong that their boat began drifting away from the shore. Soon, the shore disappeared from view, and powerful waves started pulling them in the opposite direction. By the time their message reached their boss, it was too late. He sent a search party to find them, but with each passing moment, José's boat was drifting further. In the chaos of the storm, they couldn't see anything or understand where they were or where the shore was anymore. Astonishingly, within just 5 days, their boat had been pushed 450 kilometers away from the shore. The small size of their boat made them harder to locate, and they didn't have a flare gun or any way to start a fire to signal for help. The two looked at each other, realizing that survival seemed bleak. Their food had run out 2 days earlier, and they had no fishing gear since they'd left the net behind. Hunger started taking its toll, and just then, a bird landed on their boat. They looked at each other and immediately lunged to catch it, but it escaped. They knew, however, that another bird might come. Not long after, another bird landed on the boat, and this time they carefully planned their approach, successfully capturing it. This marked the beginning of their survival strategy. They started relying on the birds that came to the boat for sustenance. Drinking salt water could be fatal, so they began collecting rainwater in plastic bottles to stay hydrated. When there was no rain, they had to resort to drinking the blood of fish and turtles to quench their thirst, but only when they could catch them. Days turned into weeks, and then into months. The mental torture they endured is unimaginable. Eventually, after 4 grueling months, José's companion couldn't take it anymore and tragically took his own life. Left alone on the boat, José was now completely surrounded by nothing but endless water with hardly any hope of survival. Yet, he somehow managed to survive day by day despite his dire circumstances. Looking at the maps, it is believed that José was in one of the most isolated parts of the Pacific Ocean, known as a silent zone where only cargo ships occasionally pass through. More than 6 months had passed since he drifted away from the coast of Mexico, and he was now alone, having lost his companion. This isolation drove José to the edge of despair. One day, he spotted a cargo ship in the distance. It was the first ship he'd seen in 6 months, and the sight reignited a glimmer of hope. José did everything he could to signal the ship, but unfortunately, it was too far to see him. Helplessly, he watched as the ship disappeared from view, leaving him feeling destined to die in this endless ocean. Imagine being trapped for 6 months in such a desolate place without seeing another human. Then finally, when you do spot a ship, it's too far to notice you and just passes by. By the 11th month, José drifted over 8,000 kilometers on this tiny boat. His clothes were tattered, and all he had left to protect himself from the sun was a worn undershirt. Finally, after 439 days at sea, on January 30th, 2014, luck was on José's side. One day, José saw coconuts floating around him and birds circling nearby. This sight made him realize that land must be close. Then, in the distance, he spotted an island. It took him nearly half a day to reach it, and as his boat got closer, he jumped out and swam towards solid ground. After spending countless months lost at sea, he finally set foot on land. This island called Ibon Atoll is one of the world's smallest islands. It felt like a miracle that the winds had guided his boat in just the right direction to bring him to safety. If he had missed this island, or if the wind had shifted slightly, he might never have made it. He would have been left to drift, and the nearest land he might have seen would have been the Philippines, nearly 5,000 kilometers away. But fate was kind, and Jose arrived on Ibon Atoll, his life spared as if he had escaped death itself. After exploring a bit, he spotted a house, and soon a person emerged from it. Seeing another human for the first time in nearly 14 months brought tears to his eyes. Shortly after sharing his story, the local police arrived. Jose told them everything, but no one could believe that someone could survive 438 days on a tiny boat with so little food and water, especially with a deceased companion on board. To prove his story, Jose contacted his boss, who had originally sent him out to fish. His boss confirmed that Jose indeed worked for him and had been missing at sea for over a year. However, because Jose had entered another country without a visa, he had to go through some legal processes before being sent back to Mexico. But Jose's journey didn't end there. The family of his companion, who had died along the way, filed a case against him, claiming that Jose must have killed and eaten him. After a legal battle, Jose was cleared of the accusations. A few months later, he published a book titled 438 Days, recounting his entire journey. In surviving, Jose unintentionally set a world record that few would dare to break. Jose's story inspires us to believe that no matter how tough life's challenges become, there is always a way forward. Thank you for watching till the end. See you in the next video.